bag of ice at her at about hip level. Lena jumped back. She was 38, lean, dark-skinned, with the delicate neck and finely set jawline of a flamenco dancer. Her long black hair was coiled into two Princess Leia cinnabuns on either side of her Santa hat. "You can't take a swing at Santa. That's wrong in so many ways that I don't have time to enumerate them." "You mean to count them?" Dale said, the soft winter sunlight glinting off a new set of veneers he'd just had installed on his front teeth. He was 52, almost completely bald, and had strong carpenter's shoulders that were still wide and square, despite the beer gut hanging below. "I mean, it's wrong. You're wrong, and you're cheap." And with that, Lena put the bell next to his ear again and shook it like a red-suited terrier shaking the life out of a screaming brass rat. Dale cringed at the sound and swung the 10-pound bag of ice in a great underhanded arc that caught Lena in the solar plexus and sent her backpedaling across the parking lot, gasping for breath. That's when the ladies at Bulge's called the cops. Well, cop. Bulge's was a woman's fitness center located just above the parking lot of the Thrifty Mart, and from their treadmills and stair-climbing machines, the Bulge's members could watch the ins and outs of a local market without feeling as if they were actively spying. So what had started as a moment of sheer glee and a mild adrenaline surge for the six of them who were watching as Lena chased Dale through the parking lot turned quickly to shock as the evil developer thwacked the Latin Santa-ette in the breadbasket with a satchel of mini-cubes. 5 of the 6 merely missed a step or gasped, but Georgia Bauman, who had her treadmill cranked up to 8 miles per hour at that very moment because she was trying to lose 15 pounds by Christmas and fit into a red-sequined sheath cocktail dress her husband had bought for her in a fit of sexual idealism, bowled backward off her treadmill and landed in a colorful spandex tangle of yoga students who had been practicing on the mats behind her. "Ow, my ass chakra." "That's your root chakra. It feels like my ass. Did you see that? He nearly knocked her off her feet. Poor thing. Should we see if she's all right? Someone should call Theo." The exercisers opened their cell phones in unison, like the Jets flicking switchblades as they gaily danced into a West Side Story gang fight to the death. "Why did she ever marry that guy anyway? He's such an asshole. She used to drink. Georgia, are you all right, honey? Can you get Theo by calling 911? That bastard is just going to drive off and leave her there. We should go help. I've got 12 more minutes on this thing. The cell reception in this town is horrible. I have Theo's number on speed dial for the kids. Let me call. Look at Georgia and the girls. It looks like they were playing Twister and fell. Hello, Theo? This is Jane down at Bulge's. Yes, well, I just glanced out the window here, and I noticed that there might be a problem over at the Thrifty Mart. Well, I don't want to meddle, but let's just say that a certain contractor just hit one of the Salvation Army Santas with a bag of ice. Well, I'll look for your car then." She flipped the phone shut. "He's on his way." Theophilus Crow's mobile phone played 8 bars of Tangled Up in Blue in an irritating electronic voice that sounded like a choir of suffering houseflies, or Jiminy Cricket huffing helium, or, well, you know, Bob Dylan. Anyway, by the time he got the device open, 5 people in the produce section of the Thrifty Mart were giving him the hairy eyeball hard enough to wilt the arugula right there in his cart. He grinned as if to say, "Sorry, I hate these things too, but what are you going to do?" Then he answered, "Constable Crow," just to remind everyone that he wasn't dicking around here. He was the law. "In the parking lot of the Thrifty Mart? Okay, I'll be right there." Wow, this was convenient. One thing about being the resident lawman in a town of only 5,000 people, you were never far from the trouble. Theo parked his cart on the end of the aisle and loped by the registers and out the automatic doors to the parking lot. He was a denim and flannel-clad praying mantis of a man, 6'6", 180, and he only had 3 speeds: amble, lope, and still. Outside, he found Lena Marquez doubled over and gasping for breath. Her ex-husband, Dale Pearson, was stepping into his four-wheel drive pickup. "Right there, Dale." Wait," Theo said. Theo ascertained that Lena had only had the wind knocked out of her and was going to be okay, then addressed the stocky contractor, who had paused with one boot on the running board as if he'd be on his way as soon as the hot air cleared out of the truck. "What happened here?" "The crazy bitch hit me with that bell of hers." "Did not," gasped Lena. "I got a report you hit her with a bag of ice, Dale. That's assault." Dale Pearson looked around quickly and spotted the crowd of women gathered by the window over at the gym. They all looked away, heading for the various machines they had been on when the debacle unfolded. "Ask them. They'll tell you she had that bell right upside my head. I just reacted out of self-defense." "He said he'd donate when he came out of the store, then he didn't," Lena said, her breath coming back. "There's an implied contract there. He violated it, and I didn't hit him." "She's a fucking nutcase." Dale said it like he was declaring water wet, like it was just understood. Theo looked from one of them to the other. He'd dealt with these two before, but thought it had all come to rest when they'd divorced 5 years ago. He'd been constable of Pine Cove for 14 years. He'd seen the wrong side of a lot of couples. First rule in a domestic situation was separate the parties, but that appeared to have already been accomplished. You weren't supposed to take sides, but since Theo had a soft spot for nutcases, he'd married one himself, he decided to make a judgment call and focus his attention on Dale. Besides, the guy was an asshole. Theo patted Lena's back and loped over to Dale's truck. "Don't waste your time, hippie," Dale said. "I'm done." He climbed into his truck and closed the door. Hippie? Theo thought. Hippie? He'd cut his ponytail years ago. He'd stopped wearing Birkenstocks. He'd even stopped smoking pot. Where did this guy get off calling him a hippie? "Hippie," he said to himself. Then, "Hey!" Dale started his truck and put it into gear. Theo stepped up on the running board, leaned over the windshield, and started tapping on it with a quarter he'd fished from his jeans pocket. "Don't leave, Dale." Tap, tap, tap. "You leave now, I'll put a warrant out for your arrest." Tap, tap, tap. Theo was pissed now. He was sure of it. Yes, this was definitely anger now. Dale threw the truck into park and hit the electric window button. "What? What do you want?" "Lena wants to press charges for assault, maybe assault with a deadly weapon. I think you'd better rethink leaving right now." "Deadly weapon? It was a bag of ice." Theo shook his head, affected a whimsical storyteller's tone. "A 10-pound bag of ice. Listen, Dale, as I drop a 10-pound block of ice on the courtroom floor in front of the jury. Can you hear it? Can't you just see the jury cringe as I smash a honeydew melon on the defense attorney's table with a 10-pound block of ice? Not a deadly weapon. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this man, this reprobate, this redneck, this, if I may, clump-filled cat-box of a man struck a defenseless woman, a woman who out of the kindness of her heart was collecting for the poor, a woman who was only—" "But it's not a block of ice, it's—" Theo raised a finger in the air. "Not another word, Dale. Not until I read you your rights." Theo could tell he was getting to Dale. Veins were starting to pulse in the contractor's temples, and his bald head was turning bright pink. Hippie, huh? "Lena is definitely pressing charges, aren't you, Lena?" Lena had made her way to the side of the truck. "No," Lena said. "Bitch," Theo said. It slipped out before he could stop himself. He'd been on such a roll. "See how she is?" said Dale. "Wish you had a bag of ice now, don't you, hippie?" "I'm an officer of the law," Theo said, wishing he had a gun or something. He pulled his badge wallet out of his back pocket, but decided that it was a little late for ID, since he'd known Dale for nearly 20 years. "Yeah, and I'm a caribou," Dale said, with more pride than he